Hello, everybody. Yo, what up, guys? How's it going? Nice. We are very excited to cook with all of you today. We're making salmon papillote, right? And we see over here we have the salmon, the Hazens and papillote over here. As you can see, the entire Hazen team and smoking cigarettes and papillote. Nice. Love that.
That's a smoked Hazen and papillote.
That's a smoked Hazen and papillote. Nice. Awesome. Oh, what's up, Dad? All right. So we're very excited to cook with everyone today. We put together a really nice, light summertime dish. Over here in the Bay Area, it is very hot, so we're psyched to have a nice light dish over here. And so I know some of you haven't cooked with us before, so just to explain a little bit about Truffle Shuffle. So my name is Tyler. I'm one of the co-founders. This is Jason.
What up, guys? I'm Jason. I'm so excited to be cooking with you guys today.
Yeah. And so basically we started this company selling fresh truffles directly to restaurants. Myself, Jason, Sarah, we're all restaurant people. We worked actually at the French Laundry for many, many years up in Napa. And then we started Truffle Shuffle to A, teach ourselves business, right? And then B, to eventually fund our future restaurants. And so we started selling fresh truffles directly to restaurants. 2018, everything was going great. 2019, we launched a line of truffle products, right? We doubled the team from 3 to 6. And then in 2020, you know, when we were really getting everything going, ramping up, right? COVID-19 hit and every single restaurant shut down in the entire world, right?
Our business was 80% to restaurants.
Yeah.
And every single restaurant was closed.
Yeah. And so what that meant for us is we literally had just gotten in a shipment of French black truffles, which cost us $1,000 a pound. So we had about 20 pounds of truffles on hand. They go bad in about 5 days, meaning like they lose all their aroma in about 5 days. So we were in a very tough spot, right? And so
if you think about it, the reason why we ended up in that spot was we're watching the travel ban, and they're like, we're putting a ban on all goods coming in from overseas. And so we're like, well, the restaurants are open. Let's just get as many truffles as possible in. So that's what we did.
That's what we did. And then we were stuck. But then, you know, we had the idea. We were having to like think up of dynamic ways to sell the truffles, right? And so at the time, everyone was at home and all the restaurants shut down. And, you know, we had kind of dabbled in the food delivery model, right? Where we were like making pre-made meals and bringing them to people, which was going all right. But then we were like, hey, what if we did something more like send everyone a kit of pre-portioned ingredients, and then we do a live Zoom cooking class where Jason and myself and Sarah, we teach you how to cook the dish, right? And so the first episode was terribly, the production quality was not the greatest, although it was quite entertaining. You can actually check it out on our YouTube channel. Brett will type that into the chat. It's actually pretty funny to watch. But since then, we've actually grown quite a bit. We sold all the truffles in that very first class, which we saved our business, right?
Yep.
And then we've just been going at it every single week since then. So thank you all, those of you who have joined with us every single week. You guys are so incredible, right?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Hazens, Charlene, love you guys. Gary.
We got Kimberly down here.
We got Gail Nagy 1 and Gail Nagy 2 on the call today. What's up, Gail? We got my dad here too.
Yo, what up, Tyler's dad?
Hey, Dad. Nice. We got Rhonda over here too.
We got Rhonda Rundle.
The one and only.
We got Charlene Sprinkle. I'm trying to figure out what is going on.
Charlene, what is going on here?
With all of these, is it mouse ears?
I'll see it. Look at that.
It's Tanya's birthday.
It's Tanya's birthday.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Happy birthday.
Yay.
Yes. All right. We'll make sure to make this extra special. Here we go. We're coming in there.
We got a birthday happening over here too.
We got the birthday celebration continuing. Look at Danny. Look at that.
Yeah, the head on and everything.
Hey, Tanya. Awesome.
Real quick, guys. Normally we have you tell us where you're at in the chat, right? But go ahead, find that chat bar. I know we got a couple new people on the screen. Ben Dunning.
No, Ben's been with us.
Well, Ben, if you would like to turn your camera on, we like it best when you got the camera on. We got Joe, Mark's iPhone number 7, Alicia Robert. But so go ahead, get your cameras on, and then instead of telling us where you're cooking from, everybody hit up Happy Birthday Tanya. Okay.
Nice. This was spoon.
Happy birthday, Tanya.
They've been joining us since our first fresh pasta class, and they literally showed up in their own chef jacket.
Yeah, in their own chef jackets.
Yeah.
Danny and Tanya did. And we got, yeah. The Sprinkles team, you guys are the best.
Awesome. So what are we cooking today, Tyler?
All right, so we're cooking a beautiful salmon on papillote, right? Which the Hazens have given us a beautiful example of what papillote is, right? It means in a little paper parcel, right? A little paquet, okay? So that's an example. You guys always crack me up with what you come up with. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this beautiful salmon, right, coming from New Zealand, which we actually have the owner of Aloha Seafood here with us, which a little later he'll tell us about the salmon, which Jay and I are super pumped about. So we're going to take that salmon, bed of beautiful summer vegetables, wrap it up in parchment, cook it in the oven, poach very, very gently. It's a really cool cooking technique, right? So without any further ado, we will jump into this kit, get it opened up, right?
Nice.
And as many of you know, we provide you with the recipe, which is the roadmap to success, right?
To the promised land.
It is the roadmap to the promised land. There you go, Chef Mila. That is the recipe right there.
Yep. And as we're in this car going to the promised land together, if anybody needs to ask for directions, you can hit up Sarah in the chat. Sarah, what do you have your chat name under?
We're under chat support.
She's under Truffle Shuffle chat support. You can also ask her for wine recommendations.
Yep. She's got those too. Nice. And so just to go through that recipe from top to bottom, first we like to go over our mise en place, right? Which is everything you need to properly execute this recipe, okay? So first things first, we have our cutting board, right? Which for the Hazens, we have the cutting board cam. Yes, there you go. So as you can see, we have a new cutting board. We got it from Rigby Love It Furniture. They're the best. Also our landlords. So we have our cutting board, right? We also need some paper towels, which Jason's going to be our paper towel model. Look at that. Look at that. He is so talented, handsome, showing off those paper towels, right? Wow. After that, we need a knife, right?
Correct.
This is a knife.
Yeah.
We're going to use that for the cutting of the vegetables.
Just to make sure we're all on the same page, if everybody's going to take their knife in the air and kind of wave it like they don't care.
Oh my gosh. Be careful as you do that, though.
Nice. There we go.
Very
Thank you,
careful.
Allison.
Allison's iPad. That's
Alice, that's
a
perfect.
good example of how to stay safe.
Nice. Krista, I actually don't know how well of eye holes you have, so if you could just set that knife back down.
Beautiful.
You can wave the paper towels like you don't care.
There you go. Oh my gosh. That's terrifying.
There's children on this show.
After that, we need a 1 tablespoon measure, which we have over here.
Correct.
We're going to need that for measuring purposes. Hence the name measure.
Yeah,
right.
That's usually what it's.
That's usually when something's called a measure, use it to measure. Right?
Yeah,
like
Chef
tape,
Mila, perfect.
like a tape measure.
Yep.
Nice. After that, we also need some scissors, right? Which we're going to use to cut up this parchment paper that we sent to you to form that lovely papillote. There you go. Eats with spoon. Also eats alongside scissors. We see that one more time. Look at that. Nice.
Nice.
All right. After that, we're also going to need a sheet tray, right? This is a 12 by 16 inch sheet tray. Basically, you just need a tray that's large enough to hold this paquet after we make it. Yeah, there you go, Charlene. That is perfect. We also need a whisk. That's a whisk. And then we need a 2-quart pot. That is not a 2-quart pot. That is a 2-quart pot. Beautiful. Thank you very much. So that is all of our mise en place that we need.
Joyce,
Right?
that's perfect.
Joyce, it can also be used as a helmet, as Joyce will show us over
Yeah.
here. Look at that.
Joyce, you're nailing it.
Wow. So you can protect your head and cook that Burblanc in the same exact vessel.
Yep, you never know what's going to happen.
Multi-purpose. So that's all our mise en place, okay? We're also going to next go through our ingredients that we sent you. So first, in this lovely kit, we have a piece of parchment paper. Right?
Craft style.
Craft style, unbleached, right? And so we're going to get to this later, but this is a very important part. This is actually the,
It's a papillote.
that's the papillote in the papillote, right?
Right. I don't
We have
speak
this
Spanish.
beautiful salmon that we sent all of you, right?
Yeah, really nice.
Coming from Ora King, which after we pull all these ingredients out, we'll have Mitch come chat about Ora King salmon. Super nice. Thank you, Joyce. And then our little kit over here, basically we're going to just, it's going to be like a beautiful summer vegetable salad, like a warm summer vegetable salad, right? So we have our little baggie over here. This has our chives and our tarragon in it.
Wow.
Okay. Stunning. In this little bag, right, is some of my personal all-time favorite of ingredients, which are sun gold tomatoes. They're literally the best. They're my favorite tomatoes in the entire world.
Yeah. What up, Tremanier?
Yes. We also have our Balinese Truffle Salt. There we go. We have more salt, but this is for the margarita, right? So keep that off to the side.
And that's the
Look
Bali
at-
salt, right?
Yeah, so this is actually the same. This is actually the same salt, but just the straight Bolognese salt. Krista, I see you've already gotten ahead on that margarita making, which is an entire like scorpion bowl of our margarita.
I think your mask actually might need a mask.
After that, we got some white wine, right? That is not for drinking. That's for cooking. We have a little margarita mix, right? Nice. Over here, we have a little bit of truffle butter. Ooh. So this is the beautiful Australian black winter truffles, right? That we just folded into some unsalted butter. It's going to be really beautiful. We also have a shallot, right? Shallot. We have a lemon
Very nice lemon.
as well. That's a nice example of a lemon right there. Rick, that's a beautiful lemon that you have.
Rick, that lemon is looking great.
Rick, nice lemon. Danny, that as well as a beautiful lemon. We also have some cream, right? Which we're going to use, and I'll chat a little bit more about the making of the Burblanc. We're going to make Burblanc today, which is a very exciting sauce to make, right?
You can pretty much use that on anything.
Yeah, Burblanc goes good with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
We also have some wax beans, right, which we sent to you. And wax beans, they have two different seasons, right? One season is at the end of the spring, like late spring, early summer. And then they also have a second season closer to the fall, which they come around again. So this is their kind of a second season. So again, all these vegetables are like the height of the season. And then we have a little Goldbar squash that we sent over to you, right? Lovely.
Yep, perfect.
Nice. Oh, there you go, Joyce. So what do you guys think? Should we make up this margarita and then have Mitch chat with us about some salmon?
Yeah, so to give you guys a little idea on how we know Mitch, and so
Yeah.
and I told you guys a little bit. Basically, you know, I got to the French Laundry, and there was one job I didn't want to do, right? And at the restaurant, I just showed up. I had never cooked in a Michelin-rated restaurant before, and the only position I did not want to do was be the fish butcher, right? Because I didn't know how to cut fish, and the fish butcher at the restaurant literally was cutting like $4,000 to $5,000 worth of fish a day.
Yeah.
I would see his invoices on the board, and I was like, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. And you're responsible for all of it.
You receive everything. You make sure to come in. All the caviar, right?
Yeah. All
I
the
mean,
caviar.
you would get like $30,000 worth of caviar a week. And I was like, just let me stick to the potatoes for a couple more months, you know, and then we'll look at something after that. And after 2 months, Chef asked me if I'd be the fish butcher. And when Chef asked, you just say, yes, Chef.
You say yes.
Yes,
The
Chef.
answer is yes, and then would you like that now or sooner than now? Those are the only acceptable answers.
So within being there for 2 months, I ended up being the fish butcher. And every morning I would call and double check all the orders, right? Just to make sure everything was coming in that day. And so basically every morning for about a year and a half, I would call Mitch and say, hey, Mitch, how's it going? And at the time I had no clue, but literally like Mitch ran this entire operation. And they have, how many restaurants did you guys service?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of restaurants throughout the Bay Area.
Yeah. They're like they are the best seafood purveyor over here in the Bay Area.
And every morning Mitch would take my call, and it would probably be the smallest order of the day at times, and he would confirm it with me. And so every morning I got to talk to, one of the legends in the fishing industry up here in California. And it was pretty incredible. So we're going to bring Sarah up first, because I know you guys start getting mad at us when we don't get those cocktails going. And then we're going to bring Mitch up, and he's going to tell you guys a little bit about the salmon.
Nice. All right.
Sarah.
Hey everyone. Okay, so this actually, we're drinking margaritas today because of, you can thank Jason. This was actually his idea.
Yeah.
He thought it's summertime. Jason goes through like cycles where he really wants to only drink like one cocktail, and then maybe he'll move into another one. There's no variance, it's always like we go through like a 2-month period where he just wants Mai Tais for 2 months. And right now we're in the margarita phase. So
I had one in Georgia.
Did you? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, so we're going to start with the Balinese Truffle Salt. That's for some of you that have been with us a lot. Even some of our family hasn't tried this by itself. So that's really exciting that we're able to share with you. So we wanted to make sure we gave you some quality salt for the rim. So the first thing you'll need with this guy, just take a little plate, and we're going to cut open this little salt packet, and then we're just going to put the salt on the plate.
Nice.
All right, because that's going to make it easiest to put on the rim. And I remember I made all these silly mistakes when I was first bartending and learning mixology. But I remember trying to put like sugar or salt on the rim of something, and I would just take a glass and go, I don't understand. Like, why isn't it sticking? So
you gotta get it wet.
Right, exactly. You do need some moisture. So we're just gonna take a little part of this lemon. So take your lemon that you've got in the mise en place, and we're just gonna cut off the edge of it. You're still gonna need about 6 slices there for the papillote. So what I did, I just took off that little amount there, right?
Nice.
Perfect, just a tiny bit. But I still have some of that flesh there. So I'm gonna use that juice, and I'm gonna rub it around about half the rim. Take both of my glasses. So this is the first thing you're gonna do, because obviously when you start building your cocktail and you put ice in there, you're not gonna be able to tip it back upside down and put salt on there. So we take that. I usually just like to do about half of the rim of my glass, because sometimes you want a sip with salt in it, and sometimes you want a sip without salt in it. So.
And then why do you put salt on a margarita?
That is a really great question that I actually don't know the answer to. I'm sorry if anyone knows the answer to that question. I mean, I think it just goes really well, and tequila already has this savoriness, so the salt is just a nice little assister with that. But if anyone actually knows the reason why that didn't come up when I was researching our cocktail for this week. So if anyone knows the answer to that, I would love to learn as well. Cool.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I would be curious to learn.
Gary, what do you think over there? As soon as you're done hunting.
Yeah. And then we'll put our ice cubes in next. And I hope that our little beverage insert was more clear for everyone this week, and kind of something you can take away and make on your own. And then I added some notes for non-alcoholic beverages for this week too. So I'm going to make one non-alcoholic and one.
Look at that glass.
Oh, awesome. I love that. That's so great. Are you guys, I saw the Mickey ear. Is Tanya a big Disney fan? Is that why?
She's on the other side, but I'm in Norfolk with my sisters, and Tanya's there.
Yeah.
Where's Tanya?
Everyone's got Disney all over the place, though. I love it.
She's a big,
Bring the baby.
she's a big Disney fan.
Yeah, awesome. Me too.
Mhm.
We're gonna get Disneyland back open, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So with our cocktail, anytime you're building a cocktail in the glass, you want to start with the spirit at the bottom. It's just a good rule of thumb. If you put it on top, you can always mix it in, but if you have it on top, it'll float to the top a little bit more. So putting it on the bottom, I find that helps me mix it a little bit better. And then we'll take our margarita mix, and I've got 2 ounces tequila in my glass. We're going to split this in half. I'm going to go there. And then in my other glass, I'm going to do my mixer first, and then I'm actually going to top that one with grapefruit juice.
For the non-alcoholic?
For the non-alcoholic one, yeah. So I gave you 2 suggestions. You guys can get more creative than just what I had in mind, but I thought we can still use the salt rim, use the margarita mix, and then if you add grapefruit, it'll kind of be like a mock paloma. So that's a fun idea. And then also with aloe vera water, that and agave are going to go really great. So those are 2 awesome non-alcoholic options.
Nice.
Cool.
That's for the kids. Chef Mila.
Yeah, I saw her shaking it up over there. I like that.
And then we got the Jenkins family over there.
Awesome.
What up, Karen? How you doing?
All right, sweetie. Cheers.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually just took a quick trip back home to see my family, and we stopped in and got some frozen margaritas with my mom.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Nice, Sarah.
Hey, look at all these claps.
Nice. Perfect. All right. Well, we wanted to have Mitch come over here and just chat a little bit about this Ora King salmon that we sent to all of you, why it's special. So if we get a round of applause for Mitch. Aloha, Mitch. Yes.
Thanks, fellas. Am I on screen? Am I in the right place here?
Yes.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do this.
Good deal. Hey, I'm really happy to be here representing Aloha Seafood, but also helping these guys truffle shuffle. I think their story is amazing. I know I got a hard act to follow. Sarah was like, I think she's going to be the next Rachel Ray, I have a feeling. That was pretty awesome. But Ora King salmon, so most of the salmon over the course of a year is farmed salmon. In this area around here, we also have king salmon, which is wild, that comes right off of our coast here, pretty much hangs out from Monterey all the way up to Alaska. And there's several different species of wild salmon, king being the one of them, king being the most, I don't know, the most well-known commercial species. Other names for it are also Chinook salmon. Maybe you've heard of that.
Yeah.
But Ora King salmon is, so the farm is in the northeast corner of the South Island of New Zealand. I don't know if you're familiar with geography or not, but it's called Marlborough Slough or Marlborough Sound. It's a very, very cold, they got Arctic currents going through there, real cold water, real fast moving water. And that's where the facility and the farms are set up for Ora King. The original brood stock of the farm, and this was several years ago when they originally started this, comes from Sacramento River king salmon. So Sacramento River is the main river in California that flows into the Pacific Ocean, and salmon are born in the rivers, spend a little bit of time there, then go out into the ocean, spend about 3 years out there, and then they get that feeling that they got to go breed again, and they head back up the rivers to go breed. When they're feeding and getting fat outside, outside the bay, outside in the ocean, is when that's when they're caught. That's when there's a commercial run of them before they head up the river. But then they always let a few through up the river. I'm going off on a tangent anyway. Ora King salmon is originally Sacramento River fish, Sacramento River king salmon. Over the years, they've selectively bred these things to have smaller heads, fatter bellies, shorter, fatter tail sections. So on a whole fish, you're not receiving a whole fish in your package, but there's a much better yield on a whole fish of a farm salmon than there would be on that same salmon if it was wild. Also, they're raised, there's real good husbandry going on in the farm down there, and they've achieved best aquaculture practices certification many years running. It's one of the one of the premium salmon that we sell at Aloha Seafood. We have a couple other premium fish, but not other king salmon that are premium like this one. So really, really nice fish. And what else can I say about it? It's my favorite. I'm a king salmon fan. I'm also a farm salmon fan because farm salmon's a little bit more fattier. It's a lot easier for you home chefs to cook it up because it gives you a lot more leeway in the cooking time. You don't it's not as risky for you to overcook it and dry it out. And I'm sure these guys will get into that. They're more of the kitchen experts. I'm looking forward on the Burblanc they're talking about.
And
But anyway, I think I'll turn it back over to them.
Well, so Mitch, I remember, so we used to get Ora King. We got this fish for the cornets at the laundry.
Right.
And we would do a mixture of it was Ora King and then the smoked salmon.
Yeah.
And then
And they did at the laundry, they do the salmon raw. So this fish is, because it's farmed, there's no potential for parasites. And because of its, practices, the husbandry at the farm, there's no potential for parasites. So it's perfectly, okay to eat it raw without freezing it even.
yeah,
So
Nice.
and that's how they did it at the French Laundry. It's one of their famous dishes up at the laundry.
yeah.
The laundry's been a customer of mine for since I was a kid in the wholesale business, not with Aloha Seafood, with a different company. And that was back when Thomas Keller, the chef, most famous chef in the world, he would call into the companies in the morning. He'd call me up on the phone and say, Mitch, what looks good today? What should I bring in today? And I was talking to Thomas Keller. I had no idea. I mean, at that time, Thomas Keller wasn't Thomas Keller, but.
Well, I remember one story you told me about that you said that chef helped you understand with the salmon what was nice, and that you had to, because they store them in the ice the way they do, so you couldn't really look at just the eyes.
Right.
That you had to run your finger on the backbone,
Right.
to see if any of the bones were broken.
Yeah. That was something that he did teach me. I can't believe you remembered that. That's when farm salmon became very prevalent and a year-round thing. They would ship it in styrofoam boxes with 4 or 5 fish in a box, and they were already gutted, but the belly down, back up, and they would put a shovel of ice on top of that, then seal up the styrofoam box. So the ice would drip through the eyes, and it would drip through the gills, and you wouldn't have clear-looking eyes, and you would have gills that were faded. They weren't really red and bloody. And Thomas Keller showed me that isn't, with farm salmon, that's not what you look at. You look inside the belly to make sure there's no discoloration. It should be white and pink, and no yellow streaks and brown streaks, which would be a sign of bacteria. And you rub your fingers right along the dorsal fin, the top of the fish. And by doing so, you can feel if there's any broken bones in there, which would indicate a separation of the segments of meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
then,
So, yeah.
does anybody out here have the French Laundry cookbook?
Yeah.
And Rick, do you know the section where it says fish and it shows the one fish on the ice? And then didn't you select that fish?
Which fish was it?
In the French Laundry
It's
cookbook,
like a
it's either
red
you
snapper or something.
one of your partners at Aloha.
Colin. It was probably Colin. Yeah.
When I did the tour, he said that he picked that fish out for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
probably
yeah.
Colin. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with which one you're talking about, but yeah, French Laundry obviously has been a key customer for ours over the years, and it's nice to have them, in our stable, and be business partners with them. Also, I don't know who Tanya is, but my birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, Tanya.
Nice.
Look at that. And then while you guys got Mitch up here, do you have any questions about any fish or salmon, anything at all? This guy is literally the master.
Yeah.
Gary, you can get the French Laundry cookbook literally like anywhere.
On
They have it.
Amazon.
But they just launched a new one. We got to find out about that.
Yeah, we gotta get it.
All right, Rhonda, I know you have a question about salmon. Yeah, this one right here.
Oh yeah, that is a Hawaiian fish. That's show that. That's a onaga. That's called an onaga. Gorgeous fish. Colin probably picked that out. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
What is your favorite fish to eat, and do you live in Chicago smiley face.
Do we deliver to Chicago? No, we don't deliver to Chicago, though I do have an uncle in Arizona who has a connection in Chicago, and he's trying to get me to, sell to wholesalers out there. But yeah, I would suggest looking for a wholesale seafood distributor in Chicago that's rolled over into this home delivery service recently since COVID, which a lot of us have because a lot of the restaurants have closed. My favorite fish. Oh, there's a few of them. I like salmon is always in my top 2 or 3. King salmon especially, and the New Zealand king. It's fatty. It's fattier, so it's got some flavor to it more so than a wild king salmon. It's also not so fatty that it leaves an oily texture in your mouth like some of the Atlantic salmon, some of the farmed Atlantic salmon do. I feel. So king salmon is definitely a premium salmon, and it's a premium farm salmon. There's a little fish out here called sand dabs that I like a lot.
Yeah.
Love sand dabs.
Lane cod is another local fish I like a lot. And then fish that I'm not real big on like the halibuts and the soles of the world because they just taste like Burblanc sauce or whatever you put on them. I like a red fish, like a salmon or an ahi or a swordfish that's got a lot of flavor to it, real beefy flavor.
Yeah.
So that's my preference.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Question asking, how do you know that the farm-raised salmon is? How do you know that any farm-raised salmon is following good husbandry practices?
There should be a little tag on the salmon if it's a whole salmon, or you can ask your butcher or your fish market where they buying from, and then go look it up. And if you look up any of these farms and it doesn't say anything about best aquaculture practices, I mean, they'll all tout themselves, but some are definitely better than others.
Is there a certification that people should look for?
Just best aquaculture practices. I mean, some of them are fair. Well, there's a shrimp farm or not a shrimp farm. It's a wild shrimp outfit in Mexico that's fair trade certified. That's the only, that's a great certification, fair trade or best aquaculture practices. Loch Duart, famous Atlantic salmon. That's probably the best one. They come from Scotland. It's called Loch Duart, L-O-C-H, like Loch Ness, but Loch Duart, D-U-A-R-T.
Yeah.
That's a very, that's a real premium salmon farm. And most salmon farms nowadays are claiming that they do things in the Loch Duart method. So that's
Wow.
Yeah.
Then we got one more question here. Is there a big difference between king and Copper River salmon?
Copper River is a king salmon. I personally think Copper River is pretty overrated. Copper River salmon are from a big, huge, shallow delta in Alaska, and the salmon come and congregate there before they head up the river. First of all, you don't want salmon that are caught in the river. Once salmon hit the river, they go through a lot of hormonal changes. They stop eating. They've got one thing on their mind, and that's, to finish off their life in the best way possible and start new lives. Anyway, Copper River salmon, I think, has done a fantastic job of marketing themselves. And if you live in Alaska and you can get Copper River salmon from Alaska, maybe even Seattle, fine. But down here in the Bay Area, I prefer the fish that comes from, within 50 miles from here.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Mitch.
All right.
You guys give Mitch a round of applause.
Enjoy it. You guys are probably getting hungry. Enjoy it.
Yes. Thank you, Mitch.
Awesome. Again, it is such a pleasure for Jay and I to have Mitch up here because he is, I know he's being humble about it, but he is a legend out here in the Bay Area fish world.
And there's a lot of times where I was, if you guys can imagine Jason in that position like 4 years ago, there's a lot of times where I got myself into trouble a lot. And either Mitch or Mitch's guys always helped me out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd forget to order the fish and they wouldn't have me on the truck and they'd go to the store and pick it up for me with the salmon or smoked salmon a couple times. So I owe Mitch a lot. Saved me a couple roastings.
He says lobsters.
Yeah.
But all right, well, let's get cooking over here. So we're going to take that beautiful salmon, right, that Mitch was just chatting about. And what you want to do is you want to remove it from that packaging that we sent to you and just dab it off with paper towels, okay, just to get a little bit of that liquid off of it. And then next, what you want to do is just keep that plate of salmon out on the counter, right?
Right.
For the rest of the time, okay? And what we're doing here is what we call tempering the fish, which is super important because it makes sure that the fish cooks very evenly, right? If you basically took this and put it back in the fridge and took it out later and stuck it in the oven, the fish will cook very unevenly because the inside is really cold, and you can obviously only cook something from the outside in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to get the inside cooked properly, you would have to overcook the outside. So tempering, anytime you cook any protein, you have to temper it, right? And so basically we're just gonna keep that salmon out on that plate at room temperature, right? During this whole prepping process over here. So we wanna take, yeah. And so now we're gonna preheat the oven to 300 degrees.
Nice.
So, and basically with this recipe, it's just a whole lot of prep, right? And then we're gonna make the pâté, and that's pretty much that. Then we'll make the sauce. The sauce goes relatively quickly, but it's all in the prep. And then we're going from there. So, Chef Jason, would you like to bust out the preparation in this recipe? And then I'll hit up the beurre blanc.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And so, Joey Yachts wants to know, is it best to make this with the salmon skin off?
Yeah, so all the salmon that we sent to you is skin off.
And if they happen to be getting ingredients cooking with us?
Yeah, honestly, you can do it. You can do it either or. I prefer when cooking fish like this to eat it with the skin off, but you can cook it with the skin on and then peel the skin off really easily afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Because we cook it at such a low temperature, the skin actually won't really soften up too much. It might be a little too tough to eat if you cook it with the skin on, but yeah, I would eat it with the skin off.
Nice. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you've made your margarita, you got some sufficient seafood knowledge, you got your oven preheated to 300, and you got your salmon dried off, tempering, and you are ready to cut some of these vegetables.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Ray Boris, that's a beautiful thumbs up you got there.
Thank you, Dad.
Look at that Truffle Shovel shirt. Awesome. Thank you, House Danny.
Yeah. How's Danny?
House Danny's out there with both his sisters. What up, House Danny's sisters? Okay, so first we're going to go into, eat with spoon, thank you, the wax beans. So we want to get these in 1-inch pieces, okay? That way when we put a fork into it, we can eat it easily. So on the wax beans, you'll see they have a little piece that was connected directly to the plant. You guys see that? So what I'm going to do here is line them up with the, what would you call that? The stem side?
Yeah.
With the stem side on my left, right? And see what I'm going to do is line them up as much as I can, as long of a knife I got. And this is how you're going to learn how to cut things fast. Okay. And so the stem side's on the left. You guys see that there? And so this is my kind of stopping point. And that's a pretty good amount right there. And so I'm going to cut just I'm going to nip it. This is what this is called right here, where you take just the tip off. When you take the tip off with the knife, it's called a nip. Nip tuck actually stole that from chefs. It was a chef terminology first. Now we're going to go in and we're going to cut these into 1-inch pieces. You guys see that? Okay, so that was one. That was another. And then for this last row, you got to go one by one and just get rid of that last piece there. What do you think, Tyler? How's that looking?
Nice. Yeah, and so with the cutting of these vegetables, and just like kind of what we chat about a lot on these classes, you always want to make sure that all the vegetables are cut relatively the same size, right? So we're cutting these beans into 1-inch pieces because that ensures that they will cook at a similar rate, right?
Yep. Perfect. So I'm going to line up my next round and do the same exact thing.
Nice. And if you line them up a bunch at a time, you can cut a bunch at a time. So don't do one bean at a time. Line up like half of them at once and the other half next and just knock it out.
Yeah, so I'm going to line up all of the beans I got left here, Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
This is like
Line them all up. Let's see what you got, Jay.
It's like back in the day when you're skateboarding and you're like, can I ollie over all 7 of my friends?
Right. And the answer is
Some
not sure until you try it.
All right, so we got a little nip there.
All right, nip tuck happening.
All right, first nip tuck, and then we're going in
Beautiful.
1 inch,
Yes.
approximate
1
inch.
inch pieces.
Yep. And if you're not sure what an inch is, but you know what a ruler is, if you look at that amount and you times that by 12 and it looks like a foot, then it's an inch.
Nice. Beautiful.
All right, so I got all these cut here, and now I'm going to go directly into these cherry tomatoes.
Nice. Yeah, so all these are what's called sun gold tomatoes. So they're a variety of cherry tomato, meaning they're those small cluster tomatoes, but they're a lot sweeter and they have a really, really nice acid content. So they work super well in this recipe and all recipes.
And with these, we just need to cut them directly in half.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much. Just cut them in half.
Mm.
Awesome little tomatoes. And if you guys haven't already, once you get one cut in half, go ahead and taste it. You'll see how stunning these are. And so these are all coming from Full Belly Farms, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful farm out here in Northern California. All organic.
Nice. And so it does help if you're having a little bit of trouble cutting these tomatoes, right? It helps to have a sharp knife. And so if you're having a little trouble, you can actually cut them with a serrated knife too, and they'll cut super, super easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little trick with tomatoes. Because if you don't have like a wicked sharp knife, they are a little difficult to cut when they're really nice and ripe like that.
And then if you ever have to do this again, there's a chef trick, and that's where you put all the tomatoes on your cutting board and then like put a plate on top of them, and then you slice them all at one time. I actually first saw that on the Discovery Channel when they're showing the Vegas hotels.
Crazy.
And it was just some B-roll of some guy in the background, and I was like 19 working at a hotel. I was like, man, that is genius.
Yeah, I've never done that one.
All right, that was our beeping for the oven. So we got that preheated.
Nice.
So I'm going to get these tomatoes sliced. We're going to slice this squash.
Yep.
And then how long does this papillote take to cook, Tyler?
It takes 15 minutes.
Ooh.
Yep.
Is anybody out there who is a big fan of salmon and who has been looking for an awesome way to cook salmon?
Nice. Yeah, exactly. We've been wanting to do a fish class for a while now, you know? We just, now that we've finally figured out the packaging, how to get everything from point A to point B, now we're confident about doing one. You either see, nice. So Angela cedar planks it or pan sears salmon. Beautiful. So,
right. And then what do you think, Tyler, about that?
yeah, so we're actually going to split it in half lengthwise first, and then just cut little half moons of this squash, about 1/4 of an inch thick.
Okay, I'm going to
Right.
move my dices this way.
Yeah, so I'm just going to transfer. So you actually want to take all these vegetables that are cut, right, and transfer them onto a plate or a bowl or something, just to give you enough space to work off of when we make this this papillote.
Okay, so I'm getting the squash beautifully sliced. I have drinking all of my margarita, which is good because now you know the salmon is going to be awesome.
Excellent. So, again, we sliced all these vegetables. We have all of our squash cut, right? All our beans cut, all our tomatoes cut. Look at that. Beautiful array of summertime vegetables.
And so you guys give me a thumbs up if you got all the vegetables cut. Give me a thumbs down if you've already caught something on fire.
So he already got some on fire. Nice. There you go. Beautiful.
Nice.
Oh, I
Chef
didn't see
Mila
these guys over
crushing
here.
it. Perry doing
What
a great
up?
job up there.
We got Chef Cupcake over here. What's up there, Chef Cupcake?
Chef Cupcake.
How you doing?
You guys got the vegetables cut?
Are you cutting the vegetables over there?
Yes. Oh, it's already cut.
Oh, they're already cut?
They're already cut. Nice.
Nice. They look great.
Okay.
All right.
Now we're going to go into the shallot. So what we're going to do here is nip the end, right? And so you got two ends. One, the root end. And we're going to nip the frilly end. You guys see that? Chef Milo, that's looking really good there. Allison's iPad. And then we're going to take that and cut it in half. So we're cutting it in half and then peeling that outer layer all the way off. And so there's a couple ways you can do this, but I like, see how there was technically two shallots in there? I like to break them apart and go one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now we're going to mince these guys.
Yeah. We're basically gonna haché them. So they're nice and fine. That way they cook really quick in that Burblanc base.
And so what I want to do here is, starting from the bottom, I'm going to cut slices all the way to the back of the shallot, working my way to the top. And then once I get slices cut, sometimes I like to take that top off. And then we're going to come through and as thin as we can cut slices into the top of the shallot and then come through this way and as thin as we can this way.
Yeah.
And your main goal here is just get them as thin as possible first.
Yeah, and so you don't need to worry about making sure they're perfectly diced, right? Because we're gonna chop all these shallots and then we're gonna go back through and mince them up, right? And just make sure they're all cut basically smaller than grains of rice, okay? So don't worry if they're not perfectly diced.
And what I'm doing when I make these first cuts, it's a very, very little technique, but it really does help, is I'm actually standing over the shallot, right? So you guys see this one here, and I can even bring it a little closer for you. So I'm going in just kind of little sawing motions all the way to the root, but not going through the root. Same thing here. And then I have my top piece. And then what I'm doing here is I'm standing over it and I'm cutting as far back as I can where the shallot still stays together. The sharper the knife, the easier this becomes.
Nice. And so again, the majority of making this dish is just going to be in the prep. So we're mincing our shallots. Next, we're going to cut those rondelles of lemon, right? We're going to cut this truffle butter. We're going to mince these chives up, cut our parchment paper, and then it's basically just an assembly job, okay?
All right. Almost done with these shallots here.
Nice.
And so, Tyler, when's the first time you had in Papillote?
Yeah, and so if you're crying at all from the shallot cutting process, if you have a alcoholic beverage of sorts, it's actually scientifically proven to assist with the shallot-induced tears. So that margarita that we sent over to you, right, that'll definitely help if there are any shallot tears associated with this cutting process.
Is that scientifically proven?
100% scientifically proven.
It's funny because typically alcohol usually helps me cry.
Wow.
The more
That sounds like a personal problem, Jason.
The more alcohol I have, the more
the more teary-eyed Jay gets.
the more teary-eyed I get.
Oh man.
I mean, look, I'm only sharing this with my family. I'm just telling you guys.
Sorry, what were you asking? What was the first time
You had in Papillote?
Oh yeah, so to be completely honest, the first time I ever cooked fish on Papillote was in culinary school. And so a lot of times when we're sitting around thinking of what to make for these classes, Well, first of all, we ask your opinion about what you all want to make, which is unbelievably helpful to us.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for any time we ask for any assistance of what we should do, because we can do whatever. But sometimes we have no idea like what exactly you guys want to make. So overwhelmingly, last time we asked you, you said you want to learn how to cook fish.
Mm-hmm.
And so cooking fish on Papillote is really a nice, delicate way to cook the fish, right? Because it's going to steam in that parcel, in that paquet, right?
Yeah.
And so actually the first time I ever made this was in culinary school.
And so at this stage, I got everything on the board here. I'm just going to go through it with my knife a few times, okay? That way if there's any large pieces, I get that chopped up.
Yeah. And again, you're going for shallots that are smaller than grains of rice, okay?
And doesn't have to be perfect.
Does not have to be super perfect.
So to be honest, this will be my first time making in Papillote.
Crazy.
The first time I ever had it, though, was when I was cooking in France. And I was cooking at a 1 Michelin star restaurant in France, and they had a wine bar. And they were testing the recipe out. And they sent it out, right? And it was, the fish was a little crudo.
Mm-hmm.
But because I didn't want to embarrass the chef, I just went ahead and ate all of it.
Crudo meaning raw. Yeah. And so honestly, a big mistake when making fish on Papillote is actually not cooking it long enough. You do have to cook it for a good amount of time because it cooks, because we're cooking it at like 300 degrees in the oven. That's the oven temperature. The temperature inside of the parcel is like 150 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're actually like very, very gently steaming the fish inside of that parcel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Stunning chives we got here.
Yeah.
So now I'm going into these chives. I'm going to take this towel. It's a little damp already. I'm going to go ahead and roll them up.
Nice. And so with these chives, we gave you guys a whole bunch, but we're only going to mince like a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons. And then the rest of those chives, you can actually just roll them back up in that piece of paper towel and put it back in that Ziploc bag. And then you put them with your eggs, right? Or making omelets tomorrow, right? Like we showed you how to make the other day. They work great in an omelet.
And so I'm going to go through here and with a slight rocking motion, just try to get these as thin as possible.
Beautiful. So again, this is called mincing the chives, slicing the chives. And so we're going to use these to finish that Burblanc sauce. It's a very classical French way of finishing the Burblanc. They add a super delicate, like nice oniony flavor. And they add that really nice pop of green right on there as well.
And we're keeping them in the paper towel. I literally can pull them out like a push pop. You guys see that? And then go back in. And they stay super close together. And I'm just doing as thin of slices as possible. What you don't want to do with chives is bruise them. You don't want to beat them up. Even if you cut them a little thicker, you just want a clean cut. All right. So how's that look, Tyler? Is that about what we're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. So basically with the chives, we just want to get them in a little bowl, okay? And then after they're in that little bowl, we're just going to get a paper towel a little damp. And we're going to lay that paper towel on top. And the reason for that is it makes sure that the chives don't dry out, okay? So again, my little wet paper towel, nice and damp, just on top of those chives, right? So you can see.
Nice. Now we're going to roll with this truffle butter. Have you guys ever heard that song?
I have not.
Wow. This looks awesome.
And so all this truffle butter is made from beautiful Australian black winter truffles. And so all we're going to do is basically, and Jay's going to walk us through it, we're just going to cut it in half lengthwise and then cut it horizontally 4 times, okay? To yield 8 little cubes of butter. And that's going to be helpful because when we make this beurre blanc, I'm going to tell you to add the butter 1 cube at a time. So that way we're all working with the same size cubes. And as you can see, Jay's basically cutting the butter, transferring it to a little bowl, right? And then we want to actually keep this butter in the fridge.
Nice and cold.
Okay? Because whenever you're making beurre blanc, you want to make sure that that butter is cold because it emulsifies a whole lot better. Nice. All right.
All right.
And so next we're going to cut a couple little rounds of lemon. So Jay's going to walk us through that. We're going to cut basically 6 nice, thin, what we call rondelles or rounds of lemon. And then make sure to save that little piece of lemon at the end because we're going to use that for seasoning our Burblanc sauce.
And so what do you think, Tyler? Do we need to get the seeds out of the lemon?
Not necessarily. Because we're going to remove those lemon slices before we eat it.
Perfect. Awesome. We got our lemon.
Yeah. And so, Eugene, with that butter, you just want to make sure to take that little parcel of butter that we sent you and cut it into 8 equal pieces, right? Nice. So at this point, right, we have our oven preheated, okay? We have our wax beans cut, our sun gold tomatoes cut, our yellow Goldbar squash cut, right? We have our shallots minced. The lemons have been cut into beautiful rondelles, okay? And those chives have been sliced. So if you are there with us, could you please give us a thumbs up, or like Chef Mila was doing, give us a lemon up. Lemon rondelle, hold that up, please, and thank you. Thank you, Mila. Look at that. Nice. Perry, that is a beautiful lemon that you have over there.
Mark's iPad, that is looking great.
Eats a spoon, thank you. Raj Register, that is a lovely lemon that you have over there.
Yeah, we are registering that. You're holding up that lemon.
Eugene, look at that. Wait a second. Kimberly Shallot over here. Look at this lemon. Beautiful. Look at that nice thin slice. Rhonda, stunning. Good. That is beautiful. Krista, as always, I am blown away you've been cooking with those Papillote hats on the entire time.
All right, we got Allison's iPad doing a little dance down there.
Get it.
Awesome.
All right. Nice. All right. So at this point, right, we have our all of our prep done. Okay. The only last thing to do is to cut up this parchment paper that we send you. So it's actually that brown piece of paper that's in the box, right, in the kit. Okay. And we want to fold it in half, right, to go back to elementary school, right? This way is the hot dog way, right? But we are going to fold this parchment paper in half, hamburger style, okay? So please go ahead and fold that piece of parchment as if it was a hamburger.
I'm already confused.
Right? Jason's always confused. It's okay. Chef, that's why I'm here, to make sure we get all that confusion organized. Okay, so.
Raj's hamburger is talking.
Nice. All right, so what we want to do is we have that paper folded in half, right?
Right.
And so if we want to go to the up top cam, maybe. I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to cut this paper, right?
Okay.
So we want to have the folded side towards us. And then you want to go ahead and grab your scissors, right? So you can see, that's my folded side. And we're going to cut a very, very large heart out of this, right? And so with that, again, I'm right-handed. So I'm going to come in here, and we're going to cut, when I say a large heart, we're going to take up basically all of this space that we can, okay? So if you want to see me cut mine first, maybe it might be a little bit easier. Because you want to keep the piece of parchment as large as possible. Give yourself as much room as possible. It's just important to kind of cut it into a little bit of a tapered shape, right? Because when we fold up the papillote, it's important to kind of follow that heart shape, right? So again, this is going to be a little bit of a different shaped heart than you're used to, but
Yeah. You want to follow your heart, right?
love comes in all shapes and sizes, right? It's all beautiful. So as you can see over here, again, I'm cutting like a very, very kind of oblong shaped heart. Okay? That way when I undo it, check this out. Look at that. From my heart to yours. Over here at Truffle Shuffle.
Nice.
Nice.
Rhonda, that looks great.
Rhonda, there you go. All right. So once you have your heart-shaped parchment cut, you go ahead, show us your heart. Let's see how that heart looks.
Yeah, show us your heart.
Show us your heart. Eats with spoon. Thank you very much.
Yep.
That's
Brett, you wanna
lovely.
play some
Ben Dunning.
sappy music there.
That is beautiful. Charlene.
Nice.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Charlene. That is a beautiful looking heart.
Perry, how's that heart looking?
Team Perry, how does your heart look?
Karen, how's
Look at
your
these
heart
little,
doing?
look at these little guys. Look at that. Nice. Look at those ears.
Kimberly, that heart's looking great. Rick,
Yes.
that's a stunning heart. Gary, that's actually a dude.
Hey. That's our nephew.
Look at his little nephew. What's up, bud?
Say hello.
Say hey, guys.
Gary, that's looking great over there.
And then coming in here to Gary. You gotta give him a new age. Gary is in the brush right now hunting whitetail, but thank you very much for coming.
I've got a couple questions. Is there a parchment paper alternative? Wax paper works, right?
So
Or would you want foil?
yeah, you would want foil. If you have aluminum foil, you can do it in there too.
Nice.
Wax paper, not so much because it tends to melt. So what we're gonna do here to get this thing cooking, right? Is we're gonna fold open our heart, okay? And we want to go to this guy over here. Basically, we're gonna build our salmon on papillote, okay?
Oh,
So if you can see, there we go. So if you can see on my screen over here, I'm right-handed, right? So if I open up my parchment paper, I'm gonna build everything to the right-hand side of that crease, okay? And you wanna give yourself about 1 inch space from the crease, and then all throughout the other edges, you want about 3 to 4 inches of space. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I get there. So first off, I'm gonna lay down all of these wax beans, right? These beautiful yellow wax beans.
stunning.
Right? Stunning. And so you see how I've given myself kind of 1 inch space on this side, right?
Yeah.
And then like 3 to 4 inches of space over here. That's very important.
I can see that.
So next, we're going to lay down our slices of Goldbar squash, right? And honestly, you want about 1 cup of this Goldbar squash. If you have any extra, you save that for tomorrow. Make yourself a beautiful squash omelet, right? With those chives. A little bit of squash. And then next, we're going to come in here with all of our sun gold tomatoes, okay? And as you can see, we're forming like a beautiful little bed of vegetables, right, to cook this salmon on. It's like, I wish my bed was actually made of summer vegetables, like tomatoes and squash and beans. That'd be so nice.
You'd have to refrigerate your room.
You need a midnight snack, you just literally grab a sun gold tomato. So, again, you got the bed of vegetables, right?
Right.
And then next, what we're going to do is that tarragon that we sent to you, right? You're just going to lay down those sprigs of tarragon on top of that bed of vegetables, okay?
Oh,
look at that, right? So we're going to lay down those sprigs of tarragon. And then next, what we want to do is lay this salmon on top of these vegetables, okay? Just like that. There you go. And again, this salmon has been nice and tempered, so it's going to cook really nice and evenly, okay? Next, what we're going to do is just lay these beautiful rondelles of lemon on top, okay?
Mhm.
And what these lemons do is two things. One, they add that really nice acid component, because whenever you're cooking fish, you always need some sort of acid in there every single time. I can't think of one instance where I wouldn't like a little like lemon or acid on some fish, okay? And what they also do is protect the top of the fish from the top of this parchment so it doesn't stick, okay? So those are two kind of ways to do that. So again, this is how mine is built over here, right? Next, what we're gonna do is bust open that Balinese truffle salt, okay? Look at that.
Very nice.
Stunning. And then, as we always instruct you from nice and up high, right? You want to come in here, sprinkle that salt, right, around there. As you know, if we can see your hand in the screen, your hand is too low. But to be honest, you want a nice, generous amount of that salt on there because you're also you're seasoning the vegetables and the fish, right? So we're going to hit it with a little more salt after it comes out of the oven. But it's important to get a good amount of salt in there, right, before it goes in the oven. So, again, I got my salt on there, looking lovely, right? Then we're going to bust open that olive oil, right, and just drizzle that olive oil on top of that salmon, okay?
Nice.
Again, that's going to help make sure that this parchment doesn't stick to anything on top of the fish. So we got that. And then last but not least, we're going to bust open this white wine, right? And we're just going to take 4 tablespoons out. And I just like dropping it directly in the center of that fish, okay? And again, what the wine does is it steams, right? It helps steam the fish. And the acid in the wine really helps with the coagulation of the fish protein and helps it cook nice and gently like that, you know? Honestly, anytime we make, when we poach fish in court bouillon, you always add that wine, that acid. It helps with the protein. So, as you can see over here, I built this fish. I gave myself a little room on this side, right? And plenty of room here. So, if you have your salmon built up like that, I would love to see a thumbs up, right? And then I will go into showing you how we're going to fold up this parchment, okay? Nice. All right. So this next step is super straightforward, but it's not exactly intuitive. So if you just want to see me do it. So what I want to do next is I want to fold this top piece of parchment all the way over, right? Until it's basically touching the bottom side of the parchment. You see that? So you want to, fold that over. And then what we're going to do next is make the first fold on this, okay? So we're going to come right to where the crease of that heart started, okay? And basically, we're just going to fold it over one time. And you only want to fold it like maybe like a ½ an inch deep. Then you want to seal it, okay? And then, so you can see that? So you see how I made that little fold, right? Sealed it. And so what we want to do next, you see this little tip right here on this fold, you want to make sure you cover that up with all subsequent folds, right? If that makes sense. So what I like to do is hold my finger right there and fold the parchment over, right? And then fold it again. And that way you make sure that every single time you're at least covering that little piece. And what that does is just make sure that you're sealing. It just makes sure that you're sealing that parchment paper, right? That way, none of the cooking vapors escape. So as you can see, I've made a couple folds, right? And it doesn't have to be super, super perfect, right? Again, at the end of the day, we're just trying to seal in all those vapors, right? And so each time that you fold it down, you really want to make sure you press on it, okay? So, and you'll see this is why we make that heart shape, because you start to kind of have to follow the shape of that heart, right? As you're folding that parchment paper. So again, fold and crease is the name of the game. Fold and crease. And so again, this is a super simple technique over here, right? Works really well with fish. Next time if you want to do it, it works really well with vegetables too. If you want to do like squash and mushrooms like this, right? and then put that little thyme and garlic in there. It'll perfume kind of whatever you're cooking really, really nicely. So again, it's coming in here, folding that parchment over, right? And you'll see this is where, when we get to the end, that heart shape helps us, right? Because we're gonna come in here and just keep folding that parchment, right? Until you get to the end. And then we're gonna show that kind of last move that we're gonna do. You're gonna have sort of like a tail left on this parchment. And then when you get there, all you do is fold it underneath, right? Seal it and tuck it under. So again, as you can see, check out that little, the little paquet, little papillote, right? So again, just folding each time. It doesn't have to be super, super, super perfect, right? But when you fold each time, you make sure that it keeps all those cooking vapors in there. So what I'm gonna do is grab my sheet tray and just transfer the salmon to that sheet tray, just like that, okay? So, again, I know it's a little interesting of a technique, but really, really cool nonetheless. So if you have your salmon folded up, instead of giving me a thumbs up, let me see that paquet up, right? Let me see that packet.
Nice, Kimberly.
Nice, Kimberly. That looks great.
Looking good, Rick.
Yeah, Rick. Rick, I know you've done unpapillote like a million times before, but that looks good. Really? Oh, crazy.
Chef Cupcake, you looking good up there?
Chef Cupcake, can we see that packet? I see that thumbs up, but we want to see the packet. Eugene, look at that. Boom. Stunning.
Nice.
Look at that. Nice. They're doing it with the aluminum. That works too. Is that bear infused bourbon? Is that what this is?
Angela and Joey looking awesome.
Nice. All right, Chef Cupcake, can we see that one more time, please? Yeah, there we go. Boom. Nice. There it is.
Susan, that's looking awesome. Kimberly, that looks great. Karen, how you looking over there? Nice.
Nice. Dad, how's your packet look?
You're not the one cooking up the foil, so.
Yeah, so
Nice.
There you go. All right. So what we're going to do is take that packet, right? Put on our sheet tray, and we're just going to pop it in the oven. And then Brett's going to set a 15-minute timer. Right?
Right.
So when you put it in the oven, you want to make sure whatever rack you're cooking it on is kind of in the center of your oven. You don't want it to be like really, really up high or really, really down low, because in the center, it helps with the convection of that heat. Nice. All right. So now that we have our salmon in the oven, the next move that we're going to do is to make this Burblanc, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which Burblanc sauce is a really cool technique to learn. It's one of those super classic French sauces. And so we wanted to make this with you because another thing that you guys said that you wanted to learn how to make is sauces, is different sauces. And so this Burblanc base, we're going to be making like this. But once you know the technique, you can make it a million different ways. You can do like a Fiends Herbes Burblanc, you know what I mean? Or if you ordered the smoked trout roe with it, you're going to add the trout roe to this Burblanc at the very end. It's so nice like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually used to do a lot of sauces together, like Burblanc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice.
You can change out the butters. You can change out the type of wine you're using. You can add liquids within the type of wine.
Yeah, you can do red wine instead of white wine, and then it's Bur Rouge, right?
We used to do oyster Burblanc, and we use oyster juice and white wine. Vermouth, actually.
Yeah, vermouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pernod Burblanc.
Yeah. So, all right, what we're going to do to make this Burblanc, right, is we have our 2-quart pot, right? There is no heat on this as of right now. And so what we want to do is get that pot, right? We want to take all the white wine that we have left and get it all into that pot, okay? All of that white wine. All right? And what we're going to do next is add all of these shallots all those minced shallots to the pan, okay?
Nice.
And again, I don't have any heat on there quite yet. But basically, what I'm gonna do is turn the heat on, and you want it to be like medium high to medium, right? You don't want it to be super, super high, because basically what we're doing with this beurre blanc is we're cooking that wine down, right? So those shallots are nice and cooked and nice and soft, right? And they also infuse the flavor of the wine. Like if you reduce it too fast, the shallots might be a little undercooked, okay? So again, we got it on medium heat, right? Medium to medium high heat. And we're gonna reduce that down to one of our all-time favorite terminologies in the kitchen, which is all sec.
Mm-hmm.
All sec.
Anybody want to use all sec in a sentence?
Yeah, if you know how to use all sec in a sentence, you get extra points at the end because there will be a test results handed out.
My favorite sentence is, so it means almost dry in French, right?
Yep.
Angela and Joey say their sentences, I like to use the all sec method. That's a very nice sentence. Mine is, it's like, oh, sec, I forgot the baguette.
The salmon will be all sec.
The salmon should not be all sec. The salmon should be.
Hey, I'll give you points, Krista, for the creativity. There you go. Yeah, nice. But
MC said the dish is going to be so good, like, oh, sick.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, sick. I'll be right there. Thank you, Eugene. That's the perfect example of how you use that in a sentence. Right. Or it's like, you know, when you're hunting like Gary is, and you go to take the shot, and then the deer runs away, you're like, ah, sick. The deer just got away from me. Gary, how's the whitetail season out there?
Oh, dear me. Another deer in the headlights when I come to cooking.
Nice. It never ceases to amaze me how you're able to cook from these remote locations, you know? It's like you're in Texas, sometimes you're in orbit, sometimes you're in like I feel
underwater.
like we saw you underwater one time. Yeah, you're in the rainforest one time.
I've been in space.
He's been in a lot of places. Gary's a man on the move. I love it. Too many margaritas. Now we are all sick. Nice. That's nice. All right. So as you can see on my camera up here, sorry. You see my sauce over here, right? We're reducing it. It's not crazy boiling, right? We're kind of gently bringing that sauce down, or the wine down with the shallots. And what we're doing, kind of what we talk about a lot when we're cooking things down, is we're reducing the wine, right? Which in that process, we're cooking off the alcohol, right? We're cooking off the water in the wine. And then what's left is the sugars and the acid, right? And the flavor, and you're concentrating that flavor. And that's super important because basically we make a really, really flavorful base, right? And then we're going to emulsify butter into that base to yield that properly flavored sauce. And so just to kind of chat about what we're going to do before we do it, basically we're going to reduce all this wine down with these shallots, right, to all sec, right? We're going to add the cream, cook that back down to a glaze, right? And then we're going to remove the pan from the heat, and we're going to start emulsifying our butter in one piece of butter at a time. Yep. And it's very important, I'm just going to say it before we get there. It's very important that the sauce is removed from the heat when you add that first piece of butter. It's very important. So again, we'll get there when we get there, but it really helps when you cook that sauce. Okay. So again, our wine is still coming down over here. how many minutes we got left? We got 8 minutes left on the timer. That's perfect. So the sauce is going to be done. It's going to be nice and hot, right as that salmon comes out. And the beauty of cooking on Papillote is that when you open up that paquet, that aroma is just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm almost dry over here.
It's looking good.
Looking really good.
Has anybody ever made a Burblanc before?
Yeah.
Patricia has.
Nice. Mark's iPad has made it.
Nice.
Chris has made it. Nice. Allison. Eugene, is that a thumbs up or an elbow? I can't really tell. Oh,
That's an elbow.
that's an elbow. Nice. And a thumb. Awesome. So yeah, Burblanc is actually super easy to make. This is one of the first sauces I learned how to make when I was a kid back in Maine. We actually used to make smoked tomato butter sauce, which was super good. Again, follows the same technique and principles of a Burblanc, but basically we'd reduce the wine down, we'd add the cream, and we'd also add a ladle of this smoked marinara sauce that we made there, and then we butter it out. So good.
Nice.
And so that's what we're saying. Like, the variations are unlimited. Once you know the technique, you can add all kinds of flavorings to it and tastes great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can put herbs right into this.
Yep.
Thyme, rosemary, tarragon.
Yep. And so over here, my shallots, right? My wine has been cooking down. Those shallots are nice and soft and translucent, right? And they're kind of glazed in that wine reduction. So you'll see the sugar from that wine kind of glazes those shallots up. And so over here, I'm at all sec, right? Can you see that? I probably have like half a teaspoon of liquid left that's nice and syrupy because, again, those sugars have concentrated. And so once you get there at that stage, right, that all sec, we're going to go ahead and add all of this cream to that. And the reason why we gave you guys some cream is because many times you bring the wine down to that point and you can just whisk the butter into that. And that's that's honestly the classic Burblanc is that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you add a little bit of cream, it really assists. It's kind of stabilizes the base. So it's a little bit stronger. So you have a little more leeway when you emulsify that butter into the base.
Nice.
So
it's a buffer.
It's a buffer. Yeah. So once we get that cream in, we're going to reduce that cream down back to a glaze.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know we kind of say this a lot in these cooking classes, but anytime that you're removing water, anytime that you're reducing something, adding heat to a liquid and reducing it, you're concentrating flavor, right? So that's why all that wine, like this much wine, when you cook it all the way down to that half a teaspoon, you're just unbelievably concentrating that flavor. And a lot of times when you're cooking, good cooking, you're just like figuring out better ways to concentrate flavor. That's a lot of times all cooking is. So again, you just want to move that pot around from time to time, right? And you'll see this cream will come down and it'll kind of glaze these shallots, right? And it'll become like nice and thick, that little bit of cream. And so again, it's only like a tablespoon of cream that we sent you, but it does help a lot if you haven't made a Burblanc before. It gives you a little bit of leeway. So my shallots are just about there. And if you taste it at this point, you can see it is like a very concentrated flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at that point now where I'm exactly where I want my shallots to be. They're nice and glazed. Okay, so can you see that? You see how those shallots are glazed up in that cream? That cream is nice and thick. You see that? That's exactly where you want your cream. And so once you get it there, you just want to go ahead and add a 1-finger pinch of truffle salt, right, to that pot, just to season that base up a little bit. So I'm just going to stop real quick, let everyone catch up with me. So where are all you at? You guys good there with the cream being reduced down?
into that nice glaze. Not yet. Eats with a spoon, no problem. Do not worry. Yeah, Danny, perfect. Chef Danny over there. Chef Cupcake too. I saw that thumbs up at the same exact time. Look at that.
Nice. How about Ty Clinton? How you looking over there?
And then Eugene, if your wine is still reducing, no problem. Mark's iPad. Sorry, can you go back one more time? Look at that.
That's looking perfect.
Yeah, that looks great.
You guys have all worked very hard. If you guys want to take a momentary dance break. So what's the best move on finishing the sauce?
Yeah. All right. So what we want to do is you want to reduce that cream all the way down, right? But when we add our butter, we don't want it to be on the heat. And again, I'm saying it is a very important step, right? The first cube of butter, you want no heat under that pan, okay? It can be on the burner, which has some residual heat, but basically we want to make sure that that sauce does not come to a boil, right? Once we start adding the butter. It's kind of this balancing act where you don't want it to be too hot. You also don't want it to be too cold. But so you can see over here, I've turned off the heat, right, on my sauce, okay? So what I'm going to do is add 1 cube of butter, and I'm going to whisk it up into my sauce, okay? So just add 1 cube of butter, and again, I am off the heat. There's no heat under here, right? Just add 1 cube of butter and then whisk up that sauce. Okay.
So you're trying to get the butter to emulsify into the cream.
Exactly. And so basically what butter is butter is already emulsified, right? You know how if you leave it out at room temperature and it's a really hot day, how it'll separate, it'll split out. It'll separate into melted butter, right? What we're trying to do is heat the butter up, keep it hot, but also keep it emulsified, right? So after you have that first piece of butter emulsified in, we're going to add our second piece of butter, okay? You want to whisk that up and emulsify that guy in too, all right?
Kind of like after you have your first glass of wine,
yeah,
you want to make sure you go into your second glass of wine.
Right. Exactly. And keep swirling. Keep stirring.
Just keep swirling.
Just keep swirling.
Look at the legs.
Look at those. Check out the legs on that wine.
Make some comments, you know.
Right.
Wow.
Nice. And so our timer's going off over here, but honestly, that's perfect timing because we're just going to finish this sauce and then we're going to take that fish out of the oven and it's going to be perfect. So how is your sauce looking? So I'm off the heat and I'm adding my third piece of butter to this sauce. So how you guys looking over there? Is your sauce?
Chef Mila, how's that sauce looking? Let's see that.
Is it staying nice and creamy? You got to make sure you keep whisking it over there, okay?
Chef Mila, are you standing on a milk crate?
You can show it to us, but make sure you keep whisking too, all right?
All right, let's see it one more time, but keep whisking it, okay?
Yeah, make sure you keep whisking. It's important that you keep whisking that sauce.
No,
and let's see your sauce.
They want all of everybody doing it. They just gave me Whisk.
It looks great over there, Mila.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
I like it.
All right. So once you get to about the 4th piece of butter being added to the sauce, right? You'll see it's starting to it should start looking like nice and thick, okay? And so at this point, I'm going to turn it on the lowest possible heat, okay? And what we're going to start doing is whisking it on the heat, pulling it off, and putting it back on the heat, okay?
Yep.
So again, I've whisked in my 4th piece of butter, right? I've turned it on the lowest heat possible, okay? And I'm going to remove my pot from the heat, right? Add 1 piece of butter. And I'm going to whisk it on the heat for 3 seconds, okay? And then pull it back off the heat. And again,
we're gonna finish this sauce, and then we're gonna take that fish out, okay? We probably got another 45 seconds on the sauce, so we wanna go ahead and finish that, and then we'll get the fish out of the oven.
Exactly. And it'll be perfect timing. So, again, 3 seconds on the heat. Take it back off, right? Add your next piece of butter. On the heat. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, off the heat, okay? And that's how you manage to make sure that the sauce doesn't get too hot. I know it's a little bit of work, right? But the Burblanc is totally worth it, okay? And so again, you wanna make sure that that first piece of butter is melted in or almost completely melted by the time you add that second piece, right?
Yep.
So I've added my 7th piece of butter, right? Again, 1, 2, 3 seconds on, pull it back off. All right, nice. Look at that sauce coming together.
Yeah, Missy Elliott actually talks about this in one of her songs. She says, put that butter down and work it. That way it's worth it.
Yep. So just think of what would Missy do while stirring up this sauce, okay? That's a pretty good way. That's a pretty good, she's actually very inspirational in the kitchen because you're like, wait, should I work it right now? And then you're like, what would Missy do? And then you're like, oh yeah, I totally should.
You should probably not stop working it.
You should not stop working it.
You should put that thing down and work it.
All right, so I'm adding my last piece of butter, okay? And so each with a spoon, are you still reducing that wine? So again, on the stove, pulling it off the stove, right? And so I have added my last piece of butter and I'm turning the stove completely off, okay?
Smells awesome over here.
Yeah. So again, I know we got our sauce finito over here. And so if you guys are having any difficulty with this sauce at all, feel free to hit up this chat bar, right?
Yeah, each with spoon. We'll let us finish this one, and we'll come right over there.
Yep. All right. So again, the heat is off over here, right? You see that sauce is nice, beautiful, thick, right?
Right. You want to right here?
Yes. You want to show them my pot over here?
Nice. Mark's iPad. That's looking great.
Nice. And so, what do you think, Jay? You want to bust this salmon out?
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab this salmon. Put a little landing pad down for us.
Oh yeah. And so all that's left to do is just adjust the seasoning on this Burblanc, right? But basically with this salmon, we want you all to take that salmon out of the oven, right? I know some of you are probably still whisking up that Burblanc, right? Right? But as long as you have the heat kind of off of that Burblanc, you will be totally fine, okay?
And Brett, you want to hit him with the graphic, take salmon out?
Yeah.
That way everyone sees that.
Yeah, so if we all go ahead, take that salmon out of the oven, right? Beautiful. Look at that beautiful salmon. And you'll see that that packet is kind of puffed up, right? And that's all the cooking vapors, right, in that packet. And they've kind of gathered up in there, all that steam, okay? And so what you want to do right now is grab that packet out of the oven, right? And then you want to put that packet in front of a camera, right? And we're all going to open up these packets together, and you'll see it has this beautiful steam that's going to come out, right?
And if you have a hazen in the oven, you also want to remove your hazen from the oven.
Right. And so when we remove this packet, you don't want to, you can unfurl it like that, but the best possible way to do it is you just rip it open right in the center, right? So just take your 2 fingers together, right? And just rip it right open. And you'll see that beautiful steam will come out, right? Oh my gosh, smell that. Look at that tarragon, right? Look at that tarragon that's in there, get a smell.
Look at that fish. Look at this, guys.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Make sure you get to smell that. Right?
Kimberly, that's looking awesome. Let's see that again there, Kimberly.
Nice. There you go, Rick. That looks great over there. You guys smell that? You smell that tarragon, right? All those vapors.
Can I see the consistency of your sauce?
Yeah. So can you see my screen over here? That's mine. And so again, this is off the heat right now. It's just staying warm because of the residual heat of my burner.
Mm-hmm. And if anybody has the salmon roe, now is when you add the salmon roe to the sauce.
Yeah. And so we'll just finish up this sauce real quick. That way we can plate this up and get to eating it. So basically all we got to do next is first take a little taste of it. Tastes so good.
Nice.
And then we're going to adjust the seasoning with just a little bit of Balinese truffle salt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mine just needs a little bit more, right?
Gosh, that's looking awesome.
And then you want to add like a couple drops of lemon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I like my fish sauce to be nice and lemony. So I'm going to add like a good 8 drops of lemon in there. Whisk it up, and you'll see that'll loosen up the sauce just a little bit, okay? And last but certainly not least, we're going to finish it with all these chives, okay? So get all those chives in there. And again, if you got the trout roe, this is the time to add the trout roe to that sauce. So go ahead, whisk it up. Oh my gosh, look at that. Beautiful. Nice. So that's our sauce over here. Beautiful little Burblanc. Look at that.
All right, I'm coming in for a taste.
Nice. So Jay's going to come in for a taste. And so if you want, you can kind of just put your finger into that sauce, right? You want it to be warm. If it's not warm, you can turn the heat up on it just a little bit. But again, you don't want the sauce to boil, okay? If you want it, again, if it's a little cold, you can warm it up, right? But you don't want it to boil. So that is our beurre blanc, right? And so now all we got to do is plate this thing up.
So how do you want to plate this, Tyler?
Yeah, so basically we're going to come in here, right? Take that salmon and be careful because it is still warm, right? So you just want to pick that salmon up, get it on that plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can eat it directly out of the parchment. You do not have to plate it, right?
And you're going lemon off.
I'm just going to take the lemon off, right? And then I'm just going to do a nice spoonful of this beautiful, warm summer vegetable salad. Again, these vegetables aren't like super, super soft. It's more like a warm salad, okay? Just plate up some of those vegetables, right? Look at that.
And then over the top with the sauce.
And then we're just going to come what we call OTT, right, over the top with this sauce. You want to make sure to get a nice coating of sauce on that salmon. Look at that. And again, it's a little more sauce than what you might need. But if you don't use all this beurre blanc, just pop it in the fridge, and then it becomes a really nice like lemon and truffle compound butter. And so last but not least, we want to hit it with a little bit more of that truffle salt.
And so we're going to take this first one, let Mitch dig into it.
Ooh. Get the masters. We'll get the master's input. The master's input.
Looks great.
Nice. All right. So again, just plating up that salmon, right? Coming in here, grabbing all those beautiful summer vegetables off to the side. And again, it's like a warm vegetable salad, okay? And if you want, you can actually grab a couple of those tarragon leaves, put it on top of that salad as you eat it. That's a nice little move. Awesome. So again, over the top with that beautiful creamy beurre blanc. Let's see how that looks, please, again, Krista.
Let's see that on the Hazen's team.
Team Hazen.
That looks awesome. Awesome job. All right.
Nice. How's that Burblanc?
That truffle butter looks awesome. Brett, you got the truffle butter song? Yes. The whole thing, not just the loop. People like that music. People like Drake. Raj,
nice.
Look at that.
Look at that, Raj. Beautiful.
Wow, Tyler.
And so what's going to happen is this.
Chef Horse. Look at that.
Oh, look at that, Dad. Beautiful. And so with this salmon, it is going to be like medium rare. So it's not going to be like totally cooked all the way through. And that's exactly what you want. You really like to serve, salmon is best served that medium, kind of medium rare almost. Nice. Let's see some of those dishes.
All right, so hold that dish up. Let's check it out.
Hold that dish up, please. Let's see it.
Ben, that is looking awesome. Gary. Oh, yeah. Gary's got the salmon roe in there. Stunning. Joyce, awesome job there.
Beautiful. All right, Joyce, let's see it.
Nice. All right, we got Charlene Sprinkle here.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
All right, we got, what else we got? House Danny. And then the whole family. We got Chef Cupcake up there, too. Look at that. What?
Nice. Allison. Awesome job, Allison. Angela. Look at that.
Look at that sauce over there. That sauce is gorgeous.
Wow. And so what do you guys think about that fish? If anyone's tasted into that, you can really tell the difference with that Ora King. Chef House Danny, how you looking over there? Oh man, let's see this. Awesome.
Nice.
All right, anybody else that didn't show us? Chef Eugene, how you looking over there?
Yeah, and if you have any questions or anything, hit us up in this chat bar, right? If you have any questions on the sauce, any questions on the cooking of that salmon, right? Let us know, and we will. And so if your oven, honestly, is a little bit different, ideally it doesn't take longer, but if it is, just wrap it back up and pop it back in the oven, right? And just cook it the rest of the way, because everyone's oven's a little bit different.
All right, you get a piece of this here, Tyler?
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna get in there. I'm just gonna use this gigantic spoon that I have.
I got you a fork.
And so as you can see, the salmon should have like a really nice, like almost velvety texture, right? Because you steam it at such a low temperature, it cooks the fish so gently. So,
Nice.
So good. And that Burblanc too.
Karen, how's yours coming out down there? Is there anybody we haven't seen? Ty? We got Ty Clinton. How's that salmon? Let's see that salmon over there.
Chef Ty. Needs a little longer.
Needs a second?
No
okay,
problem.
no problem.
Dad, how's that salmon over there? Nice.
Yeah, see Chef Tyler's dad with the corncob apron.
Boom. Look at that salmon. Nice. Dad, I know you love salmon.
Chef Rhonda, how you looking up there? Can we see that fish?
Awesome. Nice. So,
delicious.
This salmon, I must say, is one of my favorite classes that we've done. Because again, that papillote, it's a cool little technique. So you can do it with anything. Honestly, any kind of fish, you can cook it like this.
What about chicken breast?
I don't know if you want to do chicken breast. You can. You just got to make sure you cook it for like an hour. Because again, it cooks at that really low temperature. It's gonna be poached, right? But vegetables work super well.
Scallop?
Fish works super well. Yeah, scallops would be good, right? Halibut. And then yeah, again, vegetables are really cool cooked this way too.
You know what is a great way to cook chicken?
What's that?
Roasted.
Roasted chicken is a fantastic way to cook it.
Let me see a show of hands. Who likes roasted chicken?
Yeah, who likes roasted chicken out there?
and dirty martinis. Looks like everybody. So next week, we're going to be doing a roasted chicken class, right? This one's going to be pretty incredible. Sarah's rolling up with her best dirty martini. And then we also have a very, 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 very special guest. We've got a couple of them that'll be coming on. We'll be sending the email out today, okay? You guys will just have to trust me on that. And then tomorrow we'll be announcing who the special guest is going to be.
Mm.
And so today you can get the chicken class at kind of the better rate. And then next week, once we announce the special guest. So this one, just like the salmon, I don't know if you guys saw, but we sold out of this on Tuesday because we did a lower amount because it's kind of a more in-depth class, right? So the chicken one, we're going to do a lower amount of that too. And so, yeah, we're going to be doing one of Tyler's roast chicken recipes.
Yeah, and it's going to take a little bit longer, but we're going to do roast chicken, what's called en demi-duel, right? Which means half morning in French. So we're going to send all of you a ½ ounce of burgundy truffles. We're going to slice them. And I'll show you how to layer them underneath the skin of the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And then roast it on a bed of vegetables. And so what you get is this beautiful roasted chicken, browned all on the outside. And then the vegetables, which we're actually going to have whole cloves of garlic, which I know I've kind of chatted before about it, but it's my personal all-time, probably favorite ingredient ever, is roasted garlic in the skin. You just get to pop it out, eat it with some chicken. It is so delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So
that'll be awesome. You guys will see the email coming from that soon here.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for cooking with us.
Mm.
You guys absolutely nailed this one.
Nice. It has been a pleasure.
I got something going on over
Hope you
here.
enjoyed that salmon. Look at that. Is that a lobster? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're doing lobster soon, too. Labor Day weekend, lobster rolls. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed that beautiful salmon, right? Hopefully cook with you soon.
So good.
Bye, Karen.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.